What's good, YouTube? And welcome to the house and a rare earlier in the day market watch. I have a ton of tabs open from last night's stream, as well as you guys in the Discord helping out bringing those card choices. If you like being pinged and at everyone in a tab, well, be part of the conversation and check out the Discord below. I'm sure I'm advertising that very well. That being said, I talked about last market watch, how the ban list and new meta developing, even if it's older decks, has a lot of hype into the game. Calamities is gone, and people are looking around, spending their money. Pot of Prosperity is up in price a good margin. You could get these for $82-ish not too long ago. Before the ban list, they started to creep up, 86, 88. Now the lowest on TCG Player is $94, and it goes up. Not the quickest. There's a lot of sellers here, but there's not the most of Pot of Prosperity because Blazing Vortex as a set just isn't selling well. In fact, since we last looked, the market watch meme, it's moved $1, we gotta cover it. It's actually down $1.59, but what this tells me is this sealed isn't going up thanks to having a chase card like Ignition Assault did, thanks to Lightning Storm. The rest of the set is just desperate for value and chasing the Starlights and then Prosperity at a pull rate of 2.4 per case off of simple math that, well, you have 10 different secret rares now, you have, you know, the 12 boxes, you're looking at 30 total. You just can't pull a place out of every secret out of a case anymore, so that RNG, that gambling, it's not worth it for vendors to be cracking Blazing Vortex. They're hoping you buy it and do it yourself. In the population of Pot of Prosperity, it's just not prospering, let's say. Now, interesting versus that Pot of Extravagance is starting to trend up in price. I hear that Dinos are the main deck playing this, and Dinos are showing up and out at the beginning of a meta, as they usually do, along with invoked decks. And I am seeing the prices up on these. It's kind of wild seeing it towards 25, 26. We were discussing when this was bottoming out towards 20. Will Prosperity be worth so much that people will look as Extravagance as a mid-range or more so budget option? And it seems to be headed that way. First editions of these are around 40 for the original series. I would suggest getting that version over any because it would be the less susceptible to falling out in price versus, say, another reprint of Super Rare or something happening. Although Prismatic Secret Rare also looks very nice and becomes a challenger to that original rarity. It's wild they gave a Secret Rare a Prismatic Secret within those Megatons, not a downgrade, but different rarity nonetheless. It does have a competitor versus it. What do you guys think? What's the nicest version of this? Are you looking towards this card for your deck specifically? You think it offers something versus Prosperity and drawing that second card? Your deck's that consistent. You're not scared of, you know, drawing a brick off of it also, or a piece you don't want to. Like, how do you feel between these two cards? I think there's a reason one's way more expensive than the other in terms of meta impact and the power that it offers, but people do be playing both. Harpy's Feather Duster Gold is up in price. Last we looked, it was around $7. Its market price is already adjusted to around $10.33. And the gold rares, they're not the easiest thing in the world to get unless you're Ruggles and you're pulling multiple within your pack opening. It does also bring up a point. I remember the SDD, the nice Prismatic Secret Rare version from an old game promo. So it's something that's been on the FNL list, still is on the limited list. It was on the forbidden list. And now you still have game collectors, people who like game promos. It kind of blows my mind whenever I just stroll through here and I see like the lowest copies usually around 22, 25. Let's actually take a peek. Yeah, the $22 one sold last night, but yeah, $25 near mint. You have $26 near mint. This is something that originally spiked towards $70 till we got that gold rare reprint and people were going crazy over it. They were prepared, they were ready. I understand, but like after the fall, after the reprint, did you really not see a reprint coming? This falling out that much versus the collectability it offers, it has me scratching my head to see this version. So as this rises, I would heavily consider having yourself the nice game promo version. It looks a lot better, at least to me, than the other secret rares out there, but does have competing secret rares once again. Rescue Cat is up all over the place in price. I don't know if this was post-ban list or what, so I'm just going to cover its history on how it's gone up recently. Melfi's had a ton of buyouts that went nowhere fast, yet still pushed a lot of cards up in price. Then Tri-Brigade that had some real hype behind this. Tri-Brigade is getting hyped right now, so I don't know if it was like, oh boy, Banless is going to help Beast Deck more, or there's more support on the horizon, but with Rescue Katsurata, how this card works, how good it is overall, it's an amazing card still, yet it's not like piercing top cut after top cut. It's wild to see this price go so crazy with so many different versions of the card, but a lot of the versions of the card are very old, with the newest being Dual Saga, and it's a holo version versus the other non-holo versions. Crazy prices out here, and I would assume this is post-banless with the Tri-Brigade hype happening, but I haven't kept my eye super on this card. Invocation is starting to run out of copies on almost every single version, as Invoked was dominating the LCS, 5 or 6 of the top cut, I believe. But with that tends to happen at the beginning of a format. If you didn't see this coming, I don't know what to tell you. People go back to normal summon Alistair effect when things shake up, and it's usually almost every start of recent formats, you see Invoke come out where people are like, oh, that's the new Glad Beast. No, that's the new Glad Beast. Remember Gladiator Beast? Back in the day, people would whip it out. The Invoked engine is realistically that more recently, and then it tends to fade out later in the meta. Will it stay dominant this time, or will it continue to get passed up? We'll wait and see. But yeah, people definitely spending their money, I believe, directly off those results to see all of these going. I did tell you guys the Battles of Legends Secret Rare, definitely something to consider, since the Fusion Enforcers has a lot of taco bending with it, depending on if you got the EU version or even the US version. And I do think it's the better Secret Rare to have at this point, rather than the original. Starliege Seyfert, Dragon Link doing its thing. It actually improved from the ban list thanks to the Buster Lock instead of getting hit. Seyfert has got bought out on its Mega Pack Ultra. You see there's only 13 listings. Market price now actually 12 from sales, and it's still around $11, $12 here. And Striker Dragon, the Prismatic Secret, a very nice version, and you see the Ultra's getting a huge buyout as low as 7 versus a market price of 3, so we can capture that moment of, yeah, they're starting to freaking go. I think Dragon Link's an amazing deck. You end up with other engines mix, and you have so many different ways the deck can play and go through hand traps, and the boards are frightening to play against after they've been established. It makes you want to play Dark Ruler no more. Dragon Maid tidying a trap that they have access to that helps them play past something like Dark Ruler no more. You target one dragon monster you control and one card your opponent controls are in the graveyard, return them to the hand. Look, not fully dependent on a Dragon Maid effect and mixes with dragons. Good effect. Rise of the prices, rise of the duelist. It is towards $4 after the single $3 copy is left. A super rare you have that you might not have known was worth money, but you should have probably been looking at, since Dragon Maid is in the name. Also, you can banish this card from your graveyard, special summon a Dragon Maid monster from your hand or graveyard in defense position. So if you're playing Chamber in your Dragon Link deck, you actually have an extender play in the grind state, as well as a very good effect of being able to target a card that basically they control or in their graveyard range and bounce it. Solemn Judgment Ghost Rare is bought out. This is one of those ones that typically I'm trying to be more open to bringing content to Market Watch that I feel like should be obvious, but Ghost Rares get a ton of buyouts, and Solemn Judgment, even being Gold Rare, is among those. I did want, Among Us, but Solemn Judgment is an interesting card because it has so many nice versions. You have a Retro Pack 1 Super, you have an Ultimate Rare, you have First Ed MRD Ultra, Heralded is probably the best version, you have the Secret Rares, you have the Lost Art. There's so many amazing versions, and a DB Super, Dark Legends Super. So many crazy versions of Solemn Judgment exist, and the newest Gold Rare. I think, honestly, it's kind of cool to collect this card. Not biased as the first aggressive player to win an event with triple Solemn or anything, but it's wild how many cool versions of Solemn Judgment do actually exist. Math Mechs are getting buyouts. We have Alimbertian and Addition getting bought out. I would assume this is partially due to Firewall being peeled off the list in the future, and this being one of the top cyber strategies. Also, remember the original hype of you can search anything and Mystic Fighters not being the most accessible set, and how it was open and these being expensive off the rip. So yeah, the estimated value pulled of Mystic Fighters is up. These have lost their way into people's bulk over time. You might have a lot of money you didn't know you had off of additions, and you might want to consider reading the card. It's pretty good in terms of, well, will I be playing? You target a face-up monster on the field, you're locked into Cyverse the rest of the turn, you special summon this, and your target gains 1,000 attack. Not bad at all. Signet Mining is a card to consider as Cyverse are going brrrt on the market. The first edition original more so specifically in my opinion. It's around $13, $14. I feel like I remember this getting bought out to $18. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section, but at one point it felt like it was there. And while it does have another reprint thanks to the Megatons and a super form versus that ultra rare, you remember all the Yugi tubers trying to pull this at that sneak peek at the EU thing? They were, where's the Signet Mining? And it doesn't appear when it was a highly wanted reprint, and this used to be a $50 card way back when. Even though it is not shorted in the set, it's actually overprinted in Dark Neo Storm. Since short prints existed in the set, this was one of the 3 that appeared more often. It's still a card I would consider having first Ed Secret Original of, as the super rares are starting to, you know, trek up a bit in price as well, and the ultras are not the easiest to get. It's the nicest version, first as original. I would think of spending the extra money to get that if you're in the market for a version. Invoked Fusions were something I was looking at, and they're oddly not moving that much for how much Invocation is moving, but there are very few copies of certain rarities of them. I think Eternity Code is up for its reprint clock, but this could be one of those ones the Megatons or other sets miss, so you might want to have your Invoked Agodius. I don't want to murder the name, but that's how I'm going to say it. You might want to consider having your card as kind of a penny stonk for your Invoked engine, then you should have access to this card anyways. I wanted to talk real quick about Ghosts from the Past. I know that Sassy on eBay has the cheapest displays, I think at $123, so beating our sponsor here, but the cheapest cases, which end up being the cheapest display per, is still over on Yu-Gi-Oh! Daily at $1,000, and I want to reiterate, GameStop seems to have them up for pre-orders, but limits you to 4 single boxes at $15 a piece. I don't know if you can go around to multiple GameStops and order that way. Please stay safe if you're going out, but I definitely would think that GameStop and getting retail is the best way to go right now. Power to the players in more way than one. And then if you're in the market for sealed cases, this is the cheapest right now. I would be in that mad rush for the release, but we'll see if more hype comes to the set or if hype deflates as we see the actual singles. Ash Blossom is up in price for all. Please, Konami, another reprint, Dual Devastator, and Maximum Gold. Apparently not enough to just keep cooling the price off. Staples have been going up as mentioned, and these are way up. Also, something that saw a lot of success at the LCS is Phantasme, and while it has its recent gold version alternate art that is very cheap, other versions are up a little tiny bit versus their market price, and as we mentioned, first ed originals typically something enjoyable to have. I haven't actually looked up that price, so let's take a quick peek and see how that's doing. $25 for a card that used to be $75. I guess Modern Secrets don't always hold, but for a hand trap that could float back into a meta, maybe not the worst way to spend your money. Of course, using that TCG player link in the description down below, costing you nothing extra to support the channel directly for the cards you'd already be buying. And Fiend, I finally have, towards the end here, a bunch of ultimate rares that I wanted to cover. Fiendish Chain got a buyout. This is what I've said I feel like is low for a while, around $18. The market price actually moving up now, and I feel like Dino Rabbit is an underestimated past format that people could really take interest in. So seeing this finally move is wild, but I want to point out that ultimate rares doesn't equal guaranteed value. Even if I feel like something should be up or something should be up in price, I want to give it a direct example of something that's happened recently. Gaia Dragon, the Thunder Charger, was having people spend $60 to $70 virtual world hype. This is amazing. And through all that hype, through all the fallout, people are now selling theirs at $35. This had tracking sales in $60 to $70 range. This is why you're careful in how you spend your money, how you buy into hype. Even if you think something's good long-term, has potential in the metagame, has that mix of collectability, and you could be looking at past formats, you can have cheaper options. Things can fall out after a buyout. There's several ways it can move. Whenever something's bought out, it can either get doubled down on, people buy it out more, it actually has that hype in the metagame and it's going to disappear for a while, or it can end up just falling down in price or staying where it's at. There's a lot of different routes, basically, and I want you guys to think about that, seeing this whenever you're spending your, ultimate rare, ghost rare, DR4 guaranteed money. It's not always a guarantee that it's just gonna go that way. Necro Valley is huge up in price. I didn't see this one coming. Always an interesting card to talk about. It has its format in the past, Frazier Smith. It has so many things and funny moments in history, and even playability slash applications today. Funny Floodgate, huge price boost. Very memorable for a lot of duelists as well. Caius also has a buyout on the ultimate rares that I've stumbled onto. I saw this recently at 98 to 100, and I was surprised because the rest of the ultimate rare monarchs were up towards that price. You can see a market price of 75 even from the recent sales, so interesting to see Caius. This is one that's always kind of failed on its buyouts over time, but as everything's tracked up, it's gone up along with the market. We'll see how that sticks to the dartboard, because the classic monarchs, people really remember those up through Ryza, I feel like, and then Caius was insanely impactful, but it doesn't go with the super classic monarchs. It ends up in this later niche of monarchs. I wonder how that will play versus long-term nostalgia and this nicest version of the card. And finally, speaking of insane cards, Dark Armed Dragon Ultimate Rare has a market price of 400, with very few listed under this. This card's sales are insane, and I do wonder if there's a rival to Max C now in the Ultimate Rare range, thanks to Max C being locked in the FNL list, or do you think that Max C will continue to track up above this? This is crazy, but you got to remember back in the day, the most expensive out of a pack, like a regular set card, was Dark Armed Dragon in our history. Until Starlight Rares, of course, but I'm talking about like on the release, you gotta get this version to play it. That was Dark Armed Dragon, and then you get into Crush Card from Gold Series and other stuff like this, but out of a core set, this has a lot of memories for people. We'll see how that actually continues to play on this and the first edition original from the Phantom Darkness. Thank you so much for watching today's Market Watch. I know it was longer than usual, but there was a ton of cards and things to get to, so thanks for keeping up with me and my slower in the morning pace of me trying to find my words. Subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the conversations. And I did keep a quick pace still, I feel like, but there's so many cards and so much happening after a ban list.